Office of Foreign Assets Control. The Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, of the U.S. Department of the Treasury administers and enforces economic and trade sanctions based on U.S. foreign policy and national security goals against targeted foreign countries and regimes, terrorists, international narcotics traffickers, those engaged in activities. What does an OFAC do? The Office of Foreign Assets Control administers and enforces economic sanctions programs primarily against countries and groups of individuals such as terrorists and narcotics traffickers. What is an OFAC background check? OFAC search, also known as OFAC screening, OFAC scrubbing, and OFAC list screening, is the process by which organizations identify whether or not any parties involved in a transaction can be found on watch lists maintained by the Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, a division of U.S. Department of the Treasury. What if someone is on the OFAC list? U.S. persons are prohibited from dealing with SDNs wherever they are located, and all SDN assets are blocked. Entities that a person on the SDN list owns, defined as a direct or indirect ownership interest of 50% or more, are also blocked regardless of whether that entity is separately named on the SDN list. What is an SDN? As part of its enforcement efforts, OFAC publishes a list of individuals and companies owned or controlled by or acting for or on behalf of targeted countries. It also lists individuals, groups, and entities such as terrorists and narcotics traffickers designated under programs that are not country-specific. Collectively, such individuals and companies are called Specially Designated Nationals, or SDNs. Their assets are blocked, and U.S. persons are generally prohibited from dealing with them. What puts you on the OFAC list? As part of its enforcement efforts, OFAC publishes a list of individuals and companies owned or controlled by or acting for or on behalf of targeted countries. It also lists individuals, groups, and entities such as terrorists and narcotics traffickers designated under programs that are not country-specific. Who needs to follow OFAC? U.S. persons must comply with OFAC regulations, including all U.S. citizens and permanent resident aliens regardless of where they are located, all persons and entities within the United States, all U.S. incorporated entities and their foreign branches. What does OFAC prohibit? Prohibited transactions are trade or financial transactions and other dealings in which U.S. persons may not engage unless authorized by OFAC or expressly exempted by statute. Because each program is based on different foreign policy and national security goals, prohibitions may vary. Onpassive has been authorized by OFAC for financial transactions and other dealings. Wrap your heads around that? What is a red flag for OFAC? Red flags may arise relating to geographic areas or the nesting of third-party assets. Monitoring accounts to detect unusual or suspicious activity and, for example, unexplained significant changes in the value, volume, and types of assets within an account. What is an OFAC warning? What is an OFAC alert? OFAC Screen is a service that alerts the user that a consumer's personal information possibly matches a subject on a list of individuals and entities that are prohibited by the U.S. Treasury from doing business in or with the United States. What are the consequences of the OFAC list? What are the penalties for violating OFAC sanctions? OFAC treats sanctions list violations as a serious threat to national security and foreign relations. As a result, criminal offenders face monetary fines ranging from a few $1,000s to several millions and/or prison time up to 30 years. Who needs to comply with OFAC? U.S. persons must comply with OFAC regulations, including all U.S. citizens and permanent resident aliens, regardless of where they are located, all persons within the United States, and all U.S. incorporated entities and their foreign branches. What transactions does OFAC apply to? Although not a full list, some examples of products, services, customers, and geographic locations that have a high OFAC risk include foreign customer accounts, international funds transfers, non-resident aliens accounts, cross-border ACH transactions, international private banking, transactional electronic banking, transactions that are subject to OFAC All of the following types of financial transactions should be reviewed for OFAC compliance: deposit, checking and savings accounts, loans, credit cards, wire transfers, ACH transfers, lines of credit, trust accounts, loan payments, letters of credit, currency exchanges, safety deposit boxes, depositing or cashing checks, guarantors and collateral owners, money orders or cashier's checks. OFAC compliance for the financial industry means that in addition to the above, the names of all persons in a transaction should be verified against the list of individuals, entities, and the geographical locations identified by OFAC: beneficiaries, collateral owners, guarantors, co-signers, receiving parties, sending parties. Onpassive has been cleared by the Office of OFAC to employ processors for receiving payments from Onpassive early bird affiliates. The new processor is live now. That is monumental good news. The sync has been unplugged and the payments are about to flow into Onpassive. When the payments flow in the early bird, affiliates' commissions flow out to bank accounts and debit cards owned by early bird affiliates. This means that new users and new affiliates will also come into Onpassive. When they buy Onpassive products, they will be in early bird affiliates organizations. Those who don't have anyone in their organizations will have some because of what we have learned today. June 19th, 2024 marks the most important date in the history of the Onpassive journey. Be a part of the journey of Onpassive by going to onpassive.com and register to become a user and receive 3 free digital products and receive a 14-day free trial of OConnect, the video conferencing platform.